Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody is prepared for an amazing holiday. Appreciate you guys coming on. I know sometimes Thanksgiving week, people are traveling, things like that, but not you guys. Set some time aside to get your continued education on. And really pumped for today's topic, the 3 C's of marketing. All right, and I see some familiar faces that I just saw a couple of days ago. Hello, Carlos. Hello, Mr. Jilly. We're going to give it about a minute or two. We got Mr. Walker on here as well. He was at the 7-figure CEO event. And we just... we're going to hold off for about a minute as everybody pours in. You're definitely going to need to grab some pen and paper or whatever medium you like to take notes on. So I'll be dropping some gold bars and you're going to want to make sure you write those down. Hello, Mr. Fuller, Miss O'Neill, Miss King, Miss Foot. I love when you guys have your cameras on. Lets me know that you're paying attention. It's kind of good, right? Not watching TV or something. There we go, Mr. McGraw. That's much better. You are very welcome. There we go. Hello, Miss Woods. Oh, we got a fellow jiu-jitsu person, Athens Jiu-Jitsu. Anybody traveling for the Thanksgiving break? Anybody going out of town? If you are, drop it in the comments. I am going to Bradenton, Florida, which is just about an hour away from where we live. Very fortunate to have almost all of our family in a very short car ride away. Mr. Fuller says my camera will go off for a bit. All right. Okay, Miss Jordan, new GrowPro member here just outside of Boston. Awesome. Okay, guys. I don't like wasting time. We're going to get right to it. If you've never been on one of my webinars, they're very different than other webinars. Typically, when coaches or consultants or agencies are putting webinars on, they just kind of give you a little taste, and then they have some call to action to buy some of their stuff so that you can actually learn the meat and potatoes. And as somebody who has a degree in education, I consider myself an educator. This is my way of giving back to the community. I've been doing these webinars every single month for over a year, completely free, because I truly believe that continued education is, one of the stepping stones to reaching all of our goals. And I love being here with you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to dive into the 3 C's of marketing. All right. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? We're good. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Much appreciated. Okay. So this past weekend, I actually hosted an event called the 7-figure CEO. This was my first solo event, and it was not only for martial arts school owners. I'd say, predominantly about 80% of the people that were there were martial arts school owners, just due to the relationships and the networking and things like that. But it was my first time kind of delivering content outside of just the martial arts industry. And it was a great success. We almost had 60 people there. And Steven Reinstein and I did a session called 2022 Marketing Trends. I can't even believe that we're saying 2022. It's right around the corner. And we broke down 9 different marketing trends to kind of look out for coming into the new year. And one of those trends was that we really are in the era of creators. For the last few years, you've heard a lot about influencers, but what we're really seeing is that creators, people that are putting out content, are really able to grow a large following. And once you have that awareness, you can then convert that to, a sale. When you are a creator, which I think as a martial artist, 2 things that my son Cruz will always have in his life, regardless if he wants to do it or not, as long as he's under the roof, is going to be martial arts and music. Those just to me are two what I would consider life skills that he needs to develop. And I think doing martial arts at such a young age really, especially because of forms. So I started in a Junri Institute, a Taekwondo school back in 1993 when I was 8 years old. And I just absolutely fell in love with forms and being able to create my own forms. And I think as martial artists, for many of us, we are creators. And when you kind of look at this from the position of being a creator, you're really then becoming a thought leader. And when you educate the way that I'm educating you now, you don't have to have a hard sell. And when you are the creator, right? I always say, who are the experts? The experts are the authors and the speakers, right? If you're like, oh, that person wrote a book, they must be an expert on that topic, right? A book is difficult. That person's on stage or they're speaking on a Zoom, they must be an expert. And what I love about this process that I'm going to take you through is that it's going to get to scratch that, for some of you, what might be a natural itch of being a creator, but really it's of being an educator, which every single one of us are as martial arts instructors, okay? And that's kind of the starting point that with the 3 C's of marketing where we're going to begin, okay? These are the 3 C's. I'm not going to hold out on it too long. It's content, connection, and conversion. And I'm going to walk you through how to implement these 3 so you can really take your digital marketing to the next level, okay? Digital marketing is what I've found great success with. Built a $500,000 school in about 3 years, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school that predominantly focuses on kids. I was a one-woman show in the beginning and was like, man, I don't really have time to go be a PE teacher for the day. I don't really want to stick out road signs in 95-degree heat in Florida. I love being on a computer. So let me learn how to run some Facebook ads. And that's really how we were able to grow so quickly. And now, yes, paid advertising is a great strategy that you should implement in your marketing. But organic social media and specifically video marketing is what we're going to be talking about here today. So that means you don't really have to have a huge budget. This content first, so getting yourself in front of people, being that creator, being that educator, allows you to then connect. And I think what happens often in a sales process is we leave out this middle aspect of connection. And I'm going to provide you with some tangible items that you can implement immediately to develop more connection with your followers, who then turn into prospects, who eventually will turn into students. And then we're going to talk about conversion. So, there's a lot of different sales strategies out there in our industry. And I'm just going to unpack something that has worked really, really well for us. We implemented it this year, and it is a framework that you can implement and kind of stack on top of your already sales process if you have a solid one, okay? When you look at this content, connection, and conversion, this is really a journey that you're going to be taking your followers on. And if you've been following me for a while, I'm pretty obsessed with the customer journey. This is the 6 stages that your customers go through. And this content, connection, and conversion is really in line with the first 3 stages of the customer journey, which is awareness, consideration, and purchasing, right? Good marketers disguise the repetition of their marketing. And that's kind of what this webinar is all about, right? I mean, putting content out in front of people gains more awareness of who you are and what services that you offer in your school, right? And then connecting with those people is going to move them to consideration. They're now going to start considering your services as opposed to maybe other extracurricular activities or other martial arts schools. And then finally, the conversion is the purchase, right? That is what the kind of ultimate goal in the prospecting journey is, but in the customer journey, the ultimate goal is actually getting them to advocacy, okay? So if you've kind of trained with me before on the customer journey, there's definitely some congruency between these, okay? So we're gonna start with content. There's a phrase, content is king. I like saying content is king, but conversion is queen. And I wanted to break down just some different ideas for you. Creating content requires time. It requires effort. For some of you, it's more natural. For others, it might feel like something that is very difficult for you to do. But I'm going to give you some ideas here and some frameworks that you can use and actually share with you exactly what I do and kind of my system and process to get content out every single week, right? The only reason why you even know about this webinar is because some form of content went out to you. You might have seen it in the Martial Arts Entrepreneurs Facebook group. You might have seen it via email. You might have got a text message. You might have heard from another school owner, right? So it starts with content, okay? And I think I just need to give kind of a brief definition of what content marketing is. And, when you think of the word content, right? If somebody is content, it usually means like to appease their desires. And that's really what you want your content marketing that you're doing to do for you. And all content marketing, when you hear that, it just means it's a type of marketing that involves the creation and sharing of online material. That could be videos, it could be blogs, it could be social media posts. But the key to content marketing is that it doesn't explicitly promote a brand, but it's intended to stimulate interest in its products or services. So you guys coming on to this webinar, and I'm just going to, let's just like call the elephant out in the room. This is me offering you content marketing. I'm not going to sit here and shove GoPro down your throat. I'm not going to give you, some sign up link to go do this or go do that. I am just creating and sharing material online that doesn't necessarily explicitly promote my brand, but my name is associated with brands that might have a service that you would be interested in. Okay, so like this is exact content marketing, what we're doing right now. Okay, there's different types of content that you can put out. Educational content, I think, is probably the one that feels the most natural for most school owners because we're teachers in general. And really when you're a teacher, a martial arts teacher, you're really a public speaker. And we find more often than not that instructors are usually pretty good once you put a camera in front of them, just because they're so used to, they have so many reps of speaking in front of people. Now, some people you put a camera in front of them and they completely freeze, but I do see instructors having a tendency to be really, really great on camera. So what I want you to remember is that it can absolutely be you, the owner, but it doesn't have to be you, the owner, because some people are just, I don't know any nicer way to say, they're wet mops when they're on video camera, okay? So educational is a type, and I'm going to give you guys some actual examples here. Entertaining, I mean, that's why people are going on social media. They want to be entertained, right? We love giving our opinion on entertaining. We love memes. You've got graphic quotes where you can just have words on, a backdrop. And then you have picture quotes. This is one of my favorites where if you follow me in the Martial Arts Entrepreneurs group, I do this often when I'm putting out content. I'll have a picture of myself or something that I've experienced, and I'll have a quote, and then I'll have some copy underneath. And then we have videos and Facebook Lives, okay? Blogs are another type of content you can put out. I didn't put it on here just because I don't think any of us opened up our martial arts school because we wanted to write a 2,000 or 3,000 word blog. Blogs are actually something that I outsource just because it is so time consuming. There are really cool platforms out there. One of them that I'll share with you here is called Seo Content Hero. And these guys have just produced some really, really great stuff for us. And it all goes by word count. So depending on what the word count is that you want, let's say you just need like a 500 word email to go out. It would cost you $60. Now, Chris, $60, that's not cheap. Well, what if this was an email for Black Friday, right? Would it be worth, if you have a sizable list, to spend $60 to get professionals to write sales copy? Because sales copy is very different than content copy. And for $60, you have an email or two that can go out to your entire list that could potentially make you tens of thousands of dollars. If writing is something that you are, one that you enjoy and one that you're good at, that's great. But this is probably one of the number one requests that I get when I work with clients is, Chris, can you send me the emails, right? Just give me your emails. And this is, I just wanted to share this platform because we've had a lot of success utilizing them, and it's pretty cost effective as well. Okay. So what I want to dive into now, these are the different types of content. What I want to dive into now is how I have been able to stay really consistent with this. Okay. I have this social media video planner that has been broken down January, February, March, April, May, all the way through, that has different topics that I specialize in, right? Online reviews, Google Ads, Google Maps, there's Facebook, there's digital marketing, and they're broken down on these different categories. And that's what I want to share with you now, because I feel like most school owners know that they're supposed to be putting out content, but they struggle with, okay, well, what do I post? So I'm going to give you these categories. And if you sat down with your team, it would be very easy for you to just kind of brainstorm all of the different types of content that you believe your clientele and your prospects would enjoy. Okay. Now, I have a webinar that is just specifically on filming content. So if you need more, if you need kind of more of a deep dive in this, just go to growproagency.com. You can scroll all the way down to the bottom, and all of my recorded webinars are on there. So you have access to, probably like 15 or 20 webinars on there. Okay. But one idea is just a client success story. Okay. Think of your students and think of your students that have seen some form of transformation. I'm sure you could probably rattle off 30 different names, if I gave you some time to do that. And doing this kind of positions it as user-generated content, because you're now, instead of you sitting there talking about how amazing you are, you have somebody else sharing their story. Now, one thing that I have noticed, and this is just a small tweak on how you address this, right? If you went up to a parent and you said, hey, we're shooting some videos and I'd really love to get a testimonial out of you. For whatever reason, the word testimonial and the word case study can sometimes put like these, huge blockers up. So instead, what I would say is, hey, we've seen Johnny really transform over the past 6 months. I would love to get your story and interview you. And that just verbiage of saying interview as opposed to, will you give us a testimonial, makes it a lot easier for you to generate this type of content. We've also seen that this works really well when you set this up at events where people are on a high, right? So like a graduation ceremony would be a great place for you to be able to get this type of content. But what I would do is I would categorize client success story, and I would start writing down all of the different names that you think that people in your school would be willing, so that you could get some of this on video. And the beautiful part about getting a piece of content, especially a video, is that you can now chop that content up and put it in different places. So you can put this in your emails. You could put this on your website. You could put this on the lobby TV in your school. You could put this on a landing page where you are getting people to book appointments. And now there's social proof on that landing page that they're seeing like, wow, there's other people that are having success with this. So this is just one of those categories, client success story. The next one is going to be the expert, which if I asked you guys, are you experts in martial arts? You're probably going to say, heck yeah, I'm an expert in martial arts. But what else are you an expert in? I mean, I joke all the time that I should have got my degree as a psychologist or a psychiatrist, because half the time we got parents coming up that really just need like a counseling session, and they come to us because they need help with things that are happening in their child's life or in their own life. Okay. But could you share a familiar frustration that parents have in regards to correcting behavior with their child, right? I'm sure you've seen it. You've seen parents in your lobby, talking down to their child, raising their voice. Do you have a system that you use on the mat for prompting good behavior that you could share that parents could implement at home. So think of just being the expert. What are you an expert at? Many of you are an expert at childhood development, not just teaching martial arts, okay? The next category is going to be a character story. I personally love character stories. An example would be tell your origin story. What drove you to open your martial arts school, okay? People love listening to stories. It could be your story about how you started martial arts. It could be stories about your instructor team. It could be stories about your program director. It could be stories about your students, okay? Great storytelling is going to capture people's attention. So this would be another category. And, the other thing that I'd like to say for some of you, I might say, you might say, Chris, like, these are all great ideas, but I really don't feel comfortable on camera. Well, my suggestion would be you need to level up that skill set, but could you then maybe write this out as opposed to film it, okay? Next category is going to be motivation. An example would be share your favorite parenting mantra or quote and what it means to you and how it helps you, right? How can you motivate your prospects? Okay, so any type of motivation ideas, that would be another category. And then finally, teaching on a topic. So could you explain how your introductory program works? Maybe you offer a free intro. Maybe you offer 2 free intros. Maybe you offer a paid trial. How do people know all of the benefits and what's included in it if you don't explain that? Okay, so teach on a topic. And then the last one is a team story. We have seen huge success when we post about our team members. We did a campaign where we took these pictures that were like really close up. We had some really nice lighting in the background, and we just did, like a welcome post about each one of our team members. If you look at all of our content, these types of posts got the most comments and engagement. Why? Because one, these people have a connection with your students and they, love to see them win. And how do you think that's going to make your team members feel, right? So could you feature a member of your team, how they're great? And hey, maybe you're having some job openings right now, right? This would be a great campaign for you to do to try to get the word out that you're also hiring and growing the team. Okay, now, these again are just examples. If you want to go all in on this content curation, again, I have a webinar, and my suggestion would be to create a calendar. Doing it 5 days a week, you're going to set yourself up for success. I would start with 1 day a week, commit to that 1 day a week, put out a really great quality piece of content. If you have the budget, boost that post to get it in front of more people. But again, guys, think about how are you going to become the expert in your community? The only way you're going to become the expert in your community is either by posting online, shooting videos and posting online. You've got to get in front of your community, okay? And when you do that, you then fall into their mental Rolodex, okay? And this is ultimately where we want to be. Sometimes I'll hear from, school owners like, Chris, I got these leads, but only half of them converted. The other half, what a waste. And I just want you to think of your own personal experience with opting into websites, right? Maybe you saw an ad, or maybe you heard something somewhere. Maybe it was a referral. Maybe you drove by, you go to their website, you opt in, you're checking them out, and maybe your phone rings or you get interrupted and something happens. And now you're on their email list. So you're starting to get their emails. And then eventually, when the time comes, and if the time comes, you are going to have that particular business at the top of your mind. So I'll give you an example. I was watching Shark Tank a couple of weeks ago, and it was the episode where they had the smart dog collar. It's a dog collar. It's a few $100 that you put on your dog. The battery lasts 6 months, and it has location, right? So you can pull up the app and you can see exactly where your dog is at. So if your dog ran away, you would know where they're at. And it had some really, really cool features. And, I was like, oh, this is neat, but I didn't really see the value. I've got multiple dogs. I didn't really see the value, but I've been getting their emails. And guess what's coming up? Christmas is coming up, right? Got to get my dog something. This would be a really great item. when I get close enough, not to the last minute, to make sure that it arrives on time, I will order that, and that will be one of the presents that the dogs get, okay? So it's very powerful to be in somebody's mental Rolodex. And what I don't want you doing is, if you're maybe running ads, or you went to a festival and you got 50 different leads, but 30% of them converted, I don't look at those other leads as a waste, because I look at, well, now I am going to be in their mental Rolodex if you play the content game and if you play the communication game. So this is the second C in the 3 C's of marketing, which is communication, okay? Excuse me, connection. And part of the connection is the communication, all right? So I want to kind of talk a little bit about the different levels of communication that we have so that we can make that connection. And we've got email, text, phone, Facebook message, and Instagram DM. These are like the predominant ways that, prospects could reach out to you. So I want to touch on email here for a minute, because I'm sure many of you have heard about this iOS 14 update, right? Probably about 5 months ago, the iOS 14 update hit. It affected paid ads very, very much. It basically puts a prompt on iPhone users that says, do you want to be tracked? Most people say, heck no, I don't want to be tracked. And now things like the Facebook Pixel aren't as powerful. Now, iOS came out with another update called the iOS 15 update. And this happened at the end of September and early October. And this greatly impacted email. And I feel like not a lot of people know about it because everybody was so up in arms about the privacy issues with the iOS 14 update. So I just kind of want to break this down, because email is really the only digital marketing platform that you could say you own, right? Like you own all of those names, emails, and phone numbers. You don't own the Facebook Ads Manager. You don't own the Google Ads Manager. If it goes down, you can't advertise on it. But those contacts, your prospecting list, is something that is yours. So it's a very, very powerful tool. Email is not dead, no matter what anybody says. But what this iOS 15 update did is basically gave Apple users email privacy features. And what that email privacy feature does is it blocks third-party service providers. So that's how you're sending your email, is more than likely through a third-party service provider, from tracking open rates and also tracking click-through rates. Now, if you know anything about email marketing, the only way for you to really determine whether or not your email was successful is, did people open it and did people click on the link? Well, Apple mobile users make up about 40% of the market share. So now we're not going to be able to track if they opened the email or if they clicked on the link. Well, how would you know if your subject line worked? You're not. And it's unfortunate, but other email providers like Google and Yahoo and Outlook are more than likely they're gonna follow suit as well, all right? This whole privacy issue thing that started with the iOS 14, with Apple and Facebook literally at each other's throats, it's just going to continue to happen, okay? And it makes it more difficult for us to evaluate if our emails are working or if they're not working. So what that ultimately means is that your job is to create better email campaigns and stronger subject lines so you have a more engaged list, okay? But in the digital marketing world, we always say, always be growing your list. We have, I think, probably about 12,000 people in the Tampa Bay community on our contact list. For GrowPro, we have about 4,000 martial arts schools on our contact list. That is something that we own. And I just thought it was really important to kind of explain what's happening with Apple and these iOS updates. And it's just going to make it more difficult to track when we send an email out, whether it was opened or whether it wasn't, okay? The other forms of communication that we have to make that connection, text messaging. If you do not have SMS capabilities, guys, this is something that you absolutely need to be able to do on a mass level, right? I know a lot of school owners kind of ditched the landline and they moved over to cell phones just because You can walk around with them. You can take pictures. You can go live. You can do videos. There's just a lot more tools that you can utilize with a cell phone. But you need to make sure that you have some way to send out blast text messages to your prospects and also to your students, okay? Tina's asking, Chris, do you keep email lists on Mailchimp or something different than CRM? So I keep mine on a CRM, and the CRM that I use actually provides the open rates and the click-through rates so we can see whether or not they are being successful, okay? This is actually something that we track very closely, almost like on a weekly basis. So we do a level 10 meeting for our marketing team. And you're going to notice right here, we look at this on a weekly basis. Email open rate, we're sitting at about a 33.4% just for the last week. 20%, if you're getting a 20% open rate, you should be really happy. So the fact that we're getting like a 33%, that is awesome. And then our click-through rate went down last week, down to a 1.62%. The previous week, it was over 3. Okay. So that tells us that the emails that we sent out last week, whatever that was in that content, whatever the call to action, wasn't as strong as the previous week. Okay. Now there's, things that could go into that. Some of these emails were signing up for this webinar, which went out this second week of November. So, we had like 60 some odd people register for the webinar. Well, if they already registered once, they're not going to click on the link again. So this is something that we follow really, really closely. And unfortunately, it is going to be impacted with just the people that have Apple. And if you know me, I am a huge Apple fan. I'm shooting this on a Mac. I got my iPad. I got my iPhone. I got my AirPods. But I'm really upset with Apple with all of these different privacy issues that they're putting out, because as a marketer, it just makes it more difficult to track, okay? Tina, I hope that answers your question, okay? All right. Going back to the slideshow, let's chat about automations, and I'm going to give you a few of them that I absolutely believe that you need to implement, okay? Automations just means that when somebody opts into your website, that they are automatically going to get emails that try to move them through the customer journey, right? So this is great that we're connecting with them, we're communicating with them, but we ultimately want to get the conversion, right? We want them to sign up as a student. I can't change your life. I can't impact your life unless you enroll. Now, here's the thing about automations, and something that I want to be very clear about. You need to make sure that the automation is helpful to the client and not just helpful to you, okay? So one of the things that I've seen since automations have become very popular is school owners no longer picking up the phone to call their leads. Chris, nobody picks up the phone. That's not true, okay? A percentage of people don't pick up the phone, but not everybody. And when that prospect is checking you out and checking your competitor out, if you only relied on automated emails and text messages, and your competitor also had automated emails and text messages, but they actually picked up the phone to call, they're just going to have more chances at that to get that prospect. So what you got to be careful of is that you're not only relying on automations, okay? There still needs to be that human touch involved. Your automations you can set up to feel less like a robot. And I'll go into some tips here in a second on how to do that. But I just want you to be cautious that the automation not only needs to help you, it also needs to help the client, okay? So once that connection has been made and you have gained that, kind of form to communicate with them now by getting their name, email, and phone number, you need to have a nurture sequence that is going out. Here's the thing about nurture sequences and automations, okay? They require, if you are going to be the one to write them, they require a good amount of time and energy to initially build. And then once you put them in your CRM, it's completely hands-off. I love that. I love the fact that, hey, I could, sit down for a few hours. I can write out these sequences. I can plug them into my CRM. And now I never need to worry about them again. And these nurture sequences are just touch points, right? Think about you checking your email today. More than likely, you probably deleted more emails than you actually read, because over the years, you've just subscribed to so many different websites. Regardless if you deleted that email, you still saw the company's name. You still got that touch point, and they're still in the mental Rolodex, okay? Now, a lot of the CRM companies that are out there now actually have upsell programs where they will implement this for you, which might be a good option. But the other aspect of that is, well, how on brand are these emails? There's one CRM company that has a program, and sometimes when I read their emails, I feel like a used car salesman is talking to me. That's not necessarily the feeling that I want my prospects to get when they're reading the email, because it's so heavy on the sales, okay? This nurture sequence should ultimately put information in front of them that educates them, that entertains them, and helps them to move to that next stage, which is conversion, okay? Having a nice, healthy mix of educational, promotional, and utilizing social proof is a great way for you not to get unsubscriptions, okay, or unsubscribes. Unsubscribes, that is part of email marketing. It's gonna happen. If you're getting more than like 0.3% when you're sending out emails, you really need to think about what's going on in the subject line and what you're sending out. What I love to do, and this is a little ninja hack that I would write this down. In your postscript, PS, right? We'll have a signature, and then we'll put PS. I want you to think of the different kind of promotions that you could put in there, okay? So I have this set up in my email signatures on my email, and I'll just kind of share the screen here so you can see. So as I was getting ready for the 7-figure CEO, I had this postscript created in my signatures so that every single time I sent an email, here's the postscript. Have you secured your ticket to the 7-figure CEO live event? Has the dates and it has the link. So think about, what could you add in the postscript? Maybe it's a link to your Facebook group. Maybe it's a link to whatever promotion that you're doing this month. And when you put it in the postscript, it does not feel as salesy, okay? So that allows you to kind of share different, let's see if I could show you one more. There we go. So here's my one for GrowPro, right? So if I send an email and I can just click of a button, have this signature ready, set, and go. It says ready to take your martial arts school to the next level with done-for-you lead generation. Book your free marketing audit here. I also have a link to our free Facebook group, and I also have a link to one of our most popular websites, right? Giving, giving, giving. This is just a really great strategy to not make your emails feel as salesy. And that's something that I would recommend when you're building out your nurture sequence, providing them that educational, providing them informational. Yes, you can put promotions in there. Absolutely put social proof, but just make sure in your postscript, you have a way for somebody to take the next step, and it will not feel as salesy, okay? So one thing about this connection is people are going to buy from us when they trust us. And the next 3 things I'm going to share with you is going to allow you to build that trust with your prospect, okay? So one of the things that you should do is when somebody books an appointment, send a picture text message to confirm the appointment. What this does is it puts a name to a face of who they are going to be meeting. So when somebody opts in and they book an appointment, we have these merge tags that are going to pull their name. It's going to pull our instructor's name. It's going to pull the name of our school. And it's also going to pull the booking link if they haven't booked an appointment, if they just opted in and we want them to, or if they did book an appointment, we can put their confirmation time and date, okay? Doing this puts a name to a face. And if you offer free trials of any sort, whether it's a free intro, free class, free week, 30 days free, whatever, those people don't have skin in the game, okay? And being able to make the connection between, hey, you just booked an appointment, this is the person that's going to be waiting for you, will help you increase your show rate, okay? So big fan of sending a picture text message to confirm the appointment. That's one tangible thing you can immediately implement, okay? Second thing, I've been doing this for probably about 3 or 4 years now. A welcome video on a landing page that's sent either in a text message or email automation. So once somebody books an appointment, we want to make sure that we're continuing to be in front of them, right? We're continuing to be in their email, in their cell phones, everywhere they look. We want them to see Gracie Pack. And we created this on our Market Muscles website. It's just a really quick landing page we put together. It has a welcome video that explains to them what they can expect the first time they come in. Why do we do this? One, again, it's going to kind of break down the barriers because we're putting names to faces. They're going to see exactly who their appointment is. And this allows us to build trust. I said it before, people buy when they trust us. And if I send you this video and I tell you we're going to do X, Y, and Z when you come in, and then you come in and we do X, Y, and Z, guess what? I've built that trust, okay? When we send out the replay, you guys are going to get access to the slides. I have the link in here. So if you want to watch the video, you can. It tells them who they're going to be meeting with, our general manager, Anna, and also has some success stories, social proof on the landing page, as well as our contact information. Okay, so this is very, very powerful, guys, in helping you get this prospect from the connection stage to the conversion stage. Okay, and this is something that, you know, if you have one of what I would consider the industry standard websites that they can help you do, or they have templates that make this, you know, not as difficult. Okay. The last thing that you can instantly implement to get more of the connection before you go for the sale is sending a video text on the day of the appointment from the coach, okay? This is one of the benefits of having a cell phone at your front desk, is that you can easily and, you know, and very quickly create video text messages that you can send out. Again, if you have a free offer, I highly recommend implementing this. How long does it take? I mean, for each appointment, probably 20 seconds. Hey, Johnny, this is Coach Chris. I'm so excited to meet you for our appointment at 4 o'clock. We're going to have so much ninja fun on the mat. I'll see you there. And then you send it out. All right. Again, if you have a free offer, this is a great way to help increase your show rate. And it takes very minimal time to do this. Okay. It's letting them know, hey, there's a real human being waiting here. All right. One of the things that frustrates me so much is when somebody no-shows on an appointment, especially like when they've already confirmed. You guys know all of the kind of front-end work that occurs preparing for that appointment. It's also taking an appointment spot that maybe you had to book somebody else later on or later on in the week. So we want to make sure we're implementing as much as possible. Yes, you can automate this with sending, you know, another reminder text message, but it is not as powerful as a personalized video message to that person. Okay. And again, it just lets them know that a human being is waiting for them. All right. Once we put the content online and then we make the connection, now it's time for the conversion, right? Now it's time for us to try to impact this person's life over a long period of time by making them a student, okay?
The content and the communication ultimately sets you up for success. Okay. Now I did an entire like hour-long session on this framework that I'm going to go through pretty quickly here. We only got about 15 minutes. If you have a sales system in place, what I am asking you to do is to consider layering this into your sales system. We have seen you're talking like over 100% increase in conversions since we went to this model. I learned this model from a gentleman by the name of Alex Hormozy. It's called the Closer Framework. And I just want to quickly go through this because if you're using something like Maya's 4-step enrollment process, this is something that you can actually layer in that allows you to dig deeper into why the person is there. Okay, somebody is coming to your school because they have a problem and they hope that you have the solution. Okay, Chris, I don't like being salesy. Well, then just change the word sales to serve, because you're not going to be able to change this person's life unless you enroll them. All right, you are doing a disservice to them if you don't have a specific sales process or a framework that you can follow. All right, so during any type of sales inquiry, there's 3 things that have to happen. We got to ask questions. Okay. And sometimes when you ask questions, you get 1-word answers. So you got to ask even more questions. We call this kind of going fishing or peeling back the layers on the onion. The other thing you got to do is make restatements and clarify. Okay. People are going to buy from you when they feel understood. And a simple restatement such as, so what I'm hearing you say is going to clarify that you understand why that person is there and is going to make them feel understood. And then the third thing is utilizing stories for social proof. So we've talked a lot about kind of this story process, right? And those people really connect with stories. So I'm going to walk you through this conversion framework that I truly believe that if you look at what we're doing and why we're doing it, you're going to want to implement this in your sales process. Okay. So C is clarify why they are there. So this is called the Closer Framework. Okay. Why are you here? Oh, I just want to find out more information. Okay. What were you hoping that information would solve? Okay. We've got to ask, why are you there? Every martial arts school says we build confidence, discipline, and respect. What if that's not why that person is there? So we're going to clarify why they are there. So let's use the example. I'd like my child to be more focused at home and in school, right? I'm sure that's something that you've heard during the intake process. Okay, so that's C, clarify why they're there. L, label them with a problem. Label them with a problem. So what I'm hearing is that your child isn't focusing in school and we want to improve that. Is that correct? I mean, that's exactly what they just told me when I asked them why they were there. They said, I'd like my child to be more focused at home and in school. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that your child isn't focusing in school and we want to improve that. Is that correct? That's going to get them to say what? Yes. And that's what we want, right? That's what we want to get, is the yes. Once we label them, we're going to overview their past pains. If you are a parent, you probably just know from a firsthand account that if your child is struggling with something, you're going to go out there and see what else is out there. So just overviewing their past pains by asking, can I ask what you've tried in the past to help them? Maybe they haven't tried anything. Maybe they've tried a lot of different things. Yeah, we heard sports were going to be really good for his focus. So, we tried the baseball thing and we tried the soccer thing. And, it just, he sat the bench the entire time. Okay, we're learning more about this person by asking better questions. So we're just going to overview their past pains. What have you tried to do in the past to help them? Next aspect is we're going to sell the vacation. When we sell the vacation, I like to hit the touch points that we already went over. All right, so just so I'm clear, we want to get Johnny to be more focused in school. Can I tell you how our program can help you do that? They're going to say, absolutely. Yes, I'd love to hear about your program. And what I want you to do then, and we call it the power of three. For whatever reason, when you can give 3 different examples or 3 different points, it really helps to kind of seal the deal. 1 isn't enough. 2 is a coincidence. 3 seals the deal. So we're going to provide 3 aspects of our program that make our students successful based on what they're looking for. Well, what did they say that they were looking for? For their child to be more focused in school and at home. So what are 3 ways that your programs do that? Okay, and we don't just want to say, oh, our programs develop confidence, discipline, and respect. That's not what they're looking for. Okay, so we're going to sell the vacation. Then we're going to explain away their concerns. And this is where you're going to explain your programs, benefits of those programs, and you're going to ask. It's so funny when, you know, I work with program directors or managers and we do role playing. Very often they don't ask for the sale. They're waiting for the person to say, okay, let's do it. Are you ready to get started? Yes, great. We go to the next step. If they say no, we're going to continue to explain away their concerns until they say yes. The last aspect of this conversion happens after the conversion, and it's called reinforce the decision. Okay. I don't think any of us want anybody to have buyer's remorse when they purchase something from us. So I am a huge fan of either sending a handwritten card, sending a personalized video. You could send a special gift. To me, the uniform or whatever your welcome kit isn't enough, because every martial arts school is doing that. Take it one step further. Okay. People are continuing to make a decision on whether or not they believe in you after the first 48 to 72 hours. Okay. So send them something, help them reinforce that decision. Okay. Looking at this from a digital marketing perspective of getting content in front of people to make them aware, connecting through communication, talked about email, text message. There's obviously phone calls. You've got Facebook messages, Instagram DMs, right? Depending on how they initially spoke to you. But the ultimate goal, guys, is to get them on your list. Utilizing things like nurture sequences to stay in front of them, and having these action items of sending picture text messages, giving them, sending them a welcome video that explains what the process is going to be like, sending that instructor video on the day of their appointment is just going to create more connection. The more connection you have with the prospect, the easier the conversion is. Okay. We want to make our marketing so good that we don't have to have a hard sell. And going through these 3 C's of content, connection, and conversion allows you to do that. Okay. All right. That's my presentation. I want to open it up for any questions. It could be on anything that we went over today or anything marketing in general. I am also becoming very educated on strong-willed children because I have one. So if you have any questions on how to deal with that, feel like I'm leveling up in that area of my life, and I know it's going to serve him well when he's older. But any questions, guys, on anything relating to marketing, anything that we talked about, anything at all?
What lists do you have that's all automated? Your nurturing sequence, other than the opt-ins, I have trials, maybe the first 100 days. Do you have a list of exactly what you have all your automations set for?
Yeah, so you absolutely need a nurture sequence for touch points with your prospects, right? If somebody purchases a trial, you can absolutely have a trial sequence as well. We don't push trials too hard in our school. We like one-on-one intro or getting them as a member. I love your idea of the first 100 days. We take it a little step further. So we actually have an entire nurture sequence for the first year that a student is with us. They get one email every week. So it's 52 emails. And those emails are in line with the journey that they're going on. So for example, in my school, at the end of every month, our students test for a stripe, their performance stripe. So the email that they get 4 weeks in, if they've been with us for 4 weeks, they would have tested. It's going to provide information about testing. We start looking at upgrades at about 3 months in. So at about 3 months in, there's going to be an email to let them know about these higher tier programs that we have. Okay. So that's just an example. If you kind of think of all, here's the thing. If you have a welcome handbook, more than likely all of this stuff is in the welcome handbook. But when somebody first comes on, what happens a lot is they're being bombarded with information and they're not going to retain it. And yeah, you give them the handbook, but how many of them actually read it? So the nice part about that weekly email, it's that touch point of reminding them like, hey, Gracie Pack here. Oh yeah, I better take my kid to class this week. But it's also providing them information to help in the retention process, right? So we have information about camp days. We have information about parent night out events, in-house tournaments, member appreciation. And we also put information in there about things that kids go through while they're on their journey. We have an email that straight up says there's going to be a day that your child wants to quit. We have an email that says there's going to be a day where Johnny doesn't want to come to class. This is what our recommendation is. So kind of presenting the objections that you know come up when people want to cancel or pause and breaking that down in an email. Okay. So 52 emails. Honestly, I locked myself in a room for about 8 hours. I wrote out what does the journey look like for our customers from, white belt to green belt, because we're a jiu-jitsu school, so kids can't get black belts, right? What does that timeline look like when they're getting stripes and belts, when they're earning patches? We have an entire leadership patch system that they can earn, right? So all of those different things go into that first year of emails. And I know that can sound overwhelming. So start with the first 90 days, get that, first 3 months down, and then you can do the next batch. Did that answer your question, sir?
Yes, that answered my question and gave me some more ideas. Are there other lists that you have automations for, though? Martial art related for school owners?
No. So you've got your prospecting list and then you've got your student list, right? I mean, if you do like birthday parties, if you do summer camps, if you do after school programs, you can have specific lists to those programs as well. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Mrs. Foot says, do you recommend a specific text message service? So we just use the CRM that we have. All of the major CRMs, the industry related CRMs, have the ability to send a text message. If your CRM does not have that ability, I would question the power of that CRM. And if you want to shoot me a Facebook message to make some recommendations, I can absolutely do that. We're big fans of Pulse because we're big fans of Market Muscles, and they just work kind of seamlessly together. Miss Jordan, any suggestions on when parents say, well, my son's really interested and has been asking to try karate, so I agreed to bring him. Couldn't get anything else out of the parent when trying to peel back the onion, felt like a cell's head scratcher. Yeah, I think that this is probably an anomaly, right? I mean, it happens every once in a while. I wouldn't say the majority of parents, aren't going to allow you to dig a little bit deeper. I don't necessarily like creating systems for anomalies, so it's going to happen. There's just butthole people out there, right? One, or maybe they're just so nervous to speak to you. But I feel like doing these other things that we implemented, like the text message, like the welcome video, like the video messages, helps to break down that barrier a little bit more. Okay. But yeah, some people you might just get one word answers, and I would continue to ask. And if they just give you one word answers, and that's what you have to work with. But I just don't think that the majority of people are like that. You're going to get that every once in a while. Mr. Fuller, what do you recommend on posts, daily, weekly? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I can tell you to do it every day, but that's probably going to be overwhelming. So my recommendation, 3 times a week, we post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you can do more, that's awesome. What I tend to see happen is when people try to post 7 days a week, the quality of the content plummets because they're just trying to get something out there. So I would rather you commit to less, but put good effort into it than just posting to post. Yes, sir.
Yes, Chris, hi. You say you have a strong-willed child. I have parents coming up to me saying, I couldn't get my kid to come, but somehow I convinced them. So for a moment, they don't like karate, but somehow they pull them out of the room and it's like, you're going to karate because you're committed for this for 12 months now. And then once they're there, they're happy. What can I tell the parents to deal with a strong-willed child who just doesn't want to come?
Yeah, one thing that you can do is absolutely give the example about how us as adults, there's days that we don't want to go to the gym. There's days that we don't want to go to work, right? But we do that because we're adults. My favorite thing for kids, and I don't know if you've heard this in the industry, but we typically need to look at what the child is doing before they come martial arts, right? I'm in Florida in the summer. You got kids playing with their neighborhood friends in the swimming pool, right? Eating ice cream, hanging out with their buddies. Now it's time to go to martial arts. They're not going to want to go to martial arts because what they're doing is so much more potentially fun, right? Same thing. Like, is your kid on the iPad when you're telling them it's time to get their uniform on? Are they playing Fortnite? So one of the suggestions that we have is just to provide them with some form of small chore about, 20 to 30 minutes prior to leaving. And then when it is time to leave, they're sitting there sweeping the floor or they're helping with laundry or they're putting the dishes away. It's like, screw this. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to go to martial arts. So that's typically what we do first is we explain, one, this is completely natural. And that's why I like putting this in that automated email sequence, because you're basically calling the elephant out in the room for them, right? Like, hey, this is something that is going to happen. And this is our suggestion with overcoming it. So that would be my recommendation, sir, is to tell them, one, it's normal, it's natural. Give the example that us as adults, we experience that as well. And then provide them with, the exercise of giving them a chore first, which is going to make it a lot more fun for them to leave the house to go to school, to the martial arts school. Make sense?
Makes sense.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys, about 2 minutes over. If there's anything that you need at all, my email, midgettwister@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. We're going to send this replay out today or tomorrow. Just depends on my marketing team's kind of task schedule that they have. You'll get the keynote in there. So if you want to see the example of the welcome video, really appreciate you guys. If you haven't booked your marketing audit with us, please do so. It's a free audit. We look at your digital footprint. We do have a Black Friday special coming out. Clients will see it first. So if you're a client, you'll be able to jump on that. If you're not a client, you'll get access on Friday. So keep an eye out for your email. We sold out of our Black Friday in almost an hour last year. So, just make sure you're checking it. It'll come out 9 a.m. If you guys need anything, holla at your girl. I'll see you later. Peace.